Hello everyone, this is Tim, and today is going to be a video I'm going to do for May 4th. And what I want to talk about is enabling player creativity, what that entails, and possibly how to improve that and have that happen at your table. So what do I mean by enabling player creativity? Players, I guess the stereotype of them is that they're not very creative people sometimes, that they're used to the GM doing a lot of the creative things, presenting everything with a bow, nice and pretty, doing a lot of work behind the scenes, etc. And as a GM, there's a lot of things you can do to help your players sort of use that creative muscle, to give them opportunity to maybe get them out of their comfort zone a little bit, especially for players that are used to, sort of being, hooked and drugged to the left, drugged to the right, railroaded, all that kind of stuff. Because some players just, they don't like to make choices very much. They, again, these are all stereotypes. Not everyone is like that. But for certain people who seem to not be as creative as others, there might be some ways that you can help them out, give them opportunity to be creative, maybe sort of put them on the spot a little bit. I mean, that has some bad connotations to it, but I would look at it as give them the opportunity to be more creative. Things that you could possibly do if you have a homebrew world, talk to your players about maybe making a new race, or a new profession perhaps that they would like to play out. Perhaps come up with a culture that they're from. These are all like world building-esque kind of things that you could do, and that's sort of before the campaign even starts. Or maybe just sit down with them or have a phone conversation or Skype or email, whatever, asking what kind of campaign they would like, what kind of plot hooks they might want to explore, what kind of campaign they're looking for. And you can that helps the GM because it gives them feedback. He knows what kind of plots the players would like to pursue, and it gives them an opportunity to just be more creative, outside of the game. And I'm sure there's a lot more examples of that. Perhaps a certain player has a house rule when he plays a certain game, and maybe you could adopt that into your game. So maybe put out an email or talk to them. Hey guys, we're going to be running this system. Is there any house rules you guys would like to use with that system? Maybe there's something a subsection of it, or just a subset of the rules that they don't like, and maybe you can help make the game more enjoyable by including those. So again, that would just helps them get a little bit more input into things. Other ways you can help out player creativity at the table is if there's things in the game that are sort of not insignificant but small. Maybe you describe the inn and then you look to the left and ask, player one, hey John, what do you think the bartender looks like? Describe the bartender. Or you'll have a couple of cut purses come up and try to rob from the players, the characters, and you could just say something like, okay, they're not very hard to defeat. How do you defeat them? And sort of give them a little bit more creative license, narrative control for small things. If you're more of a traditional type gamer, traditional GM, you could just say something to the effect that, I still have veto power if you get a little silly, but just have fun with it. Be creative. Don't try to break the game when I give you this control, but have a little bit more power, a little bit more input into things. Ask them to describe things. Okay, you turn down a dark alley. What does it look like? What do you see? And that can be a way, especially if you're having a day where you're not feeling as creative as a GM, you can sort of absorb the player's energy, the player's ideas. I've also often talked about using player ideas instead of the prep work that I've done, and I think this is another way of letting the players be creative, even if they don't expect it to be that way. My example is, let's say there's an enigma or some bad guy off in the distance, and you're really not sure, the players aren't really sure what he is, what he's like, what he's into, you can set up situations where they're sitting down talking about him, or you just throw out like one small nugget of what he's like, and then just listen to what the players say, listen to their hypotheses and theories about what's going on, and often you can use those theories and incorporate them into the game to sort of make them feel good later. You could tell them that, I totally stole that idea. Well, I guess steal, might not be the right word, but I used that idea in the campaign, and that lets them feel like they contributed to the gaming experience and the story as it progresses. Often you can incorporate characters' backgrounds into things, and maybe it's like the sixth session of a campaign. You can talk to one of the players beforehand and go, okay, I want this session to be more about your character. You wrote these things about your background. Is there any more information you can give about this NPC, this town, this tavern, your brother, your family members, the guild that you were a part of, or whatever's in the background? And that gives them something to work on when you guys aren't actually playing. Because I know when I'm a player, there really isn't much going on outside of the game. You can update your character when you level up, or I don't know, just describe more of his background, I guess, but there really isn't as much to do. So this would give the players more creative license to put stuff into the game. Another idea you could possibly use is to have all of the players, whenever they have random ideas, when inspiration strikes, to write them down on like a 3x5 card or a piece of paper and just throw them in a bucket or hat or something like that. And you can keep these ideas, and whenever you're feeling stumped or, again, not feeling very creative, maybe you didn't get enough sleep last night and things just aren't jiving like they normally do, you can dig into that big bucket of ideas and use them for a session or a one-shot or whatever. If you have any other ideas for how to let players be creative, feel free to put them below or make a video response. I'd like to hear your ideas. I just think, just by and large, that the real world doesn't reward creativity as much as it should, and as GMs and storytellers, as gamers, we could come up with ways to reward creativity, inspire creativity, and to let the players really bring more to the table than they currently are. Thank you very much. I hope to see a bunch of May 4th videos today. Take care, and I'll see you guys later.